Adil Sumarewala is the president of the Athletics Federation of India. He joins me on India First. Adil Sumarewala, what do you make of China's actions, especially regarding Neeraj Chopra's case? Perhaps his best throw, and the Chinese officials just turned around and said they could not measure it. What do you make of it, sir?
Actually, nobody knows what the case is, except that they did not measure his first throw. Whether it was plain stupidity and ignorance on part of the official, or whether it was a deliberate attempt, it's very difficult to say. But at this point, the fact of the matter remains that it was not measured. It was a very good throw. It was probably one of his best throws. And stuff like this should never have happened. And in a competition like this, as big as this, these things are absolutely not acceptable.
Sir, China's, whether we call it stupidity or ignorance or these fouls, they weren't restricted just to Neeraj Chopra. What about Kishore Kumar Jaina? He was wrongly disqualified initially, till of course Neeraj Chopra, like a true soldier, stood up for him and stood his ground. Sir, is there a pattern to Chinese actions here?
One really doesn't know whether it's very poor quality. I mean, it's very difficult to say whether it is, I mean, you can make any surmise out of it, but it's very difficult to say whether it's a deliberate attempt or whether it's very, very poor quality of officiating. Because we've seen that very poor quality of officiating and not being able to follow the rules properly in more cases than one. So whether it was in his case or Jenna's case, or even in Anurani's case, or in Jyoti's case. Now, we can surmise whatever we want from these actions, but it's very difficult to honestly say what the real thing is. So, but it's absolutely unacceptable in a level of Asian Games.
Sir, since you mentioned Jyoti Yaraji's case, she had to protest. She had to protest, though her medal was then upgraded, but she was wrongly disqualified initially. She was right. She stood her ground. But, why would the Chinese be doing this, one sport after the other?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. First of all, in Jyoti's case, even letting the Chinese girl who broke the start even participate itself was wrong.
Yes.
So the question does not arise of upgrading her medal or anything. That girl should have never been allowed to run as per rules.
True, true. But is there a pattern, and does this not display, perhaps the Chinese ill will? Do you see this as mischief, or are they goofing up at multiple levels? I mean, it's lack of competence.
See, it's very difficult to say, because I also spoke to Neeraj, I spoke to Anu, and they all don't have an answer. So I'm not on the field, they are on the field, but they also don't have an answer to the question. So it's very difficult to say. And like I said, they're either completely incompetent and stupid, or it's deliberate, but there's a very thin line between that to figure out. But the fact of the matter is, it's unacceptable.
Yes.
And this will have to be taken to its logical conclusion. That's all I'm saying.
So what is this logical conclusion in your view? How should India take it up? Because this is India's best performance, and it does appear that China is trying to rain on a parade.
No, we will take it up. There are processes, there are channels to take it up, both at Asian level and world level, and all those channels are already being set into action.
Okay. Because what I'm also trying to understand, sir, you'd recall players from Arunachal Pradesh, they faced discrimination from the beginning itself, the way they were given a different visa. What are India's options at this stage?
See, I am very clear. Every athlete should be given the opportunity to participate. Not allowing an athlete to participate is absolutely against the spirit. But this is not the only case. Yes. Our athletes did not get visas to USA. So I think IOC needs to look at this larger picture. It's just not India or China or Pakistan or whatever. I think we need to look at IOC needs to put certain checks and balances in place when events like this are awarded to ensure that this never happens. People did not get visas to go to Europe. People did not get visas to go to USA.
Okay.
So I think it's a much larger issue. Yes, it's definitely an issue for our own athletes going to China from Arunachal Pradesh. But I think IOC and needs to take very, very strong action, and I'm surprised that IOC is not moving in that direction. IOC is soft pedaling this issue, which is not correct. And they are the ones who should say that if you want to conduct an event of this magnitude, you have to ensure that everybody is allowed to come and participate.
Because clearly these actions, whether it's denial or a wrong visa being given, or the incompetence of the Chinese in their decision making, all of this appears to be against the spirit of the sport. It just leaves a bad taste in the mouth, sir.
No, I am saying India is a new India. It's not the old India. This
Yes.
is a new India where every athlete is going there to perform. Look at athletics. 65 athletes. From 65 athletes who participated, 41 are going home with medals.
Yes.
We have had as many as, I'll just give you the numbers.
Yes.
We've had as many as 7 personal bests, 3 national records, 5 season bests, 2 games records. Now, this just goes to show that our athletes are out there to fight. And if the African athletes that were bought by other nations were not participating, then we would have had 13 golds, 19 silver, and 9 bronze, which equals to 41 medals. So our athletes are out there fighting and fighting hard, and they've also beaten a lot of African athletes out there.
Yes.
And it's a matter of time. And I'm not concerned with these African athletes. I'm just saying, I'm just putting on record the numbers.
Yes.
But it's a matter of time. We will hammer the African athletes. So we are a new India. This is a new generation of sports people. Let's not be mistaken about it. And they are not going to take anything lying down. They are there to go and become world beaters. And they'll beat the hell out of everybody else. Take it from me.
Oh, absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Our sportspersons, they've shown their mettle and against all odds. For joining me here on this India Today special, Adil Chumariwala, many thanks and wish you and our team all the very best always. Let me now open this for wider discussion. Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar joins me on the show. He keeps a hawk eye on developments in China. Nitin Srivastav joins us from Hangzhou. And Nitin, is this India specific, or should this just be seen as Chinese incompetence?
Gaurav, let's start with the instances that we have seen here in the Hangzhou Asian Games, that what exactly has happened with the Indian athletes here. Starting with Jyoti, she was participating in hurdles and she was given bronze medal just because of Chinese athlete who started and given a false start. And later on, when Indian officials and our athlete Jyoti herself objected that decision, then they only gone through and decided to upgrade her medal. That was the very first episode when Chinese officials had given a wrong decision. And another episode when Neeraj, our star Indian athlete, his first throw was not counted. Right after that, the same event, Kishore Jaina, who got silver medal of the javelin event, his throw was given foul. There are many more instances. For example, Anu Rani, she got gold medal in the women's javelin category. Her throw was also not counted. So there are many instances, and keeping in mind all those wrong decisions, India was very serious and concerned about all these wrongdoings from the officials of organizing committee of Asian Games. They planned now. This is the high time to raise our objections, and they actually had a word with officials, and they are now planning to lodge an official complaint to the authentic bodies and concerned bodies. So this was something which was you can say that I mean, I spoke to Anju Bobby George, who is the Vice President of Athletics Federation of India. She was categorically saying to India today that this is something which Chinese officials are doing purposely and intentionally to the Indian athletes. So we are going to take this matter to the right authorities.
Stay with me for a moment. Ambassador, how do you read the Chinese actions? You heard Anju Bobby George saying that this is mischief, this is intentional.
Yeah, that is what appears to me from, a prima facie reading of the case. Because, what I understand is we have spoken about 4 of the Indian athletes who have been wronged, who have been sort of, their performance has been sought to be curtailed, whether it's Neeraj Chopra or it's Anu Rani or, Jenna. Or the other, athlete.
Jyoti, yes.
Now, this has not happened with any other country athlete.
Yes.
It's only Indians who have been singled out for such a treatment. So, if it was sloppy umpiring, if it was tardy refereeing, if it was incompetence, why does it have to surface only in the case of Indian athletes? Because, then it would be distributed evenly as far as the other athletes are concerned of other countries, but it doesn't happen with those countries. No other athlete, I understand, has complained. It's only the Indian athletes. And the other point here, Gaurav, also is, just if I may complete here,
please.
Other point is that wherever we have raised objections, wherever we have protested, the decisions have been overturned. That means that we were in the right. The umpires also knew we were in the right, but we had to sort of, protest vociferously. And then only the umpire sort of, reverse the...
But this also shows the mettle of new India and the mindset, Nitin, of our sportspersons. Neeraj Chopra still won gold. Jyoti Yaraji, she stood her ground. It just shows this is new India.
Well, certainly, if you look at the conversation with Neeraj Chopra, when I spoke to him yesterday, when he got the gold medal, I asked him very categorically, Neeraj, that how do you look at your, your first throw and which was not counted? He said, I was really surprised. It was weird because at this kind of international level, you cannot expect, from the official that you are not going to count my throw. It may be my best throw, which could have won me the medal. But again, he said, I cannot really do it. I cannot really help it because the officials asked me to throw again. And now I have won the medal, so I am happy. But again, I mean, someone likes of Neeraj Chopra, Kishore Jenna, who has worked really hard, to compete here at the international level to get the medal for your country, give some kind of, the hard work. And officials are just taking it very lightly, and especially against Indian athletes, which is something very, surprising. Because everyone here is participating for the nation.
Absolutely. And China's not playing fair and square, Ambassador Sajjan. China's not playing fair and square. What are India's options? Especially the fact that China's playing this mischief in full public glare.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as you have spoken to the president of the Athletic Federation of India, and they have said that they are going to take it up very strongly, with all the concerned agencies and quarters, and, bring it to their attention. And definitely as far as the role of the Chinese umpires and referees is concerned, but also in a broader principle, what you raised, the question that you raised about denial of visas to Indian wushu players. What this gentleman was saying that, even USA they couldn't go, Europe they couldn't go. I don't think that denial could have been on political grounds.
Okay.
Here, I think we have to be mindful of the reason for which the visas were not given to our athletes. It is political. Mixing politics with the sports is just not on. There it might have been, some delays, some documents have not been furnished or whatever it is.
No, and especially in multi-sport events like either the Asian Games or the Olympics, we'll track the story very, very closely. China better come clean. We will be on this story. Nitin's on ground zero, and Nitin Srivastava has been doing a stellar job from China. Ambassador Sajjan and Nitin for joining me here on India First. Many thanks. India stands firm. The Ministry of External Affairs has made it very clear that even Canada will have to reduce the number of its diplomats in India after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's statement talking about credible allegations of a potential link of agents of India to the killing of that Canadian terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil without evidence. No evidence has been given to India so far. India has hit out at Canada for its continued interference in India's internal affairs and insisted Canada will have to bring parity, not just in numbers, but also seniority of diplomats in India.
India turns up the heat on Canada. In a staunch response to Ottawa, New Delhi has asked Canada to reduce the diplomatic staff in the country by more than half.
We have sought parity in our respective diplomatic presence. Discussions are ongoing on the modalities of achieving this. Canadian diplomatic presence is very much higher. We would assume that there would be a reduction.
Slamming the Justin Trudeau government, India accused Canada of continuous interference in the country's internal affairs.
Given the much higher diplomatic presence of Canadian diplomats or diplomatic presence here in Canada and their continuing interference in our internal affairs,
the diplomatic storm began when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau claimed last month that Indian government agents could be involved in the killing of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Hardeep Singh Nijjar was shot dead by unidentified gunmen outside a Gurdwara in Surrey. Nijjar was designated as a terrorist by India in the year 2019. India dismissed the accusation as absurd. It also issued an advisory to its citizens travelling to Canada, urging them to exercise utmost caution due to growing anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes.
the issue is of incitement of violence, the inaction by the Canadian authorities, and a creation of an environment that disrupts the functioning of our High Commission and consulates. That's what's making us stop temporarily this issuance of visas or providing visa services.
Justin Trudeau's unsubstantiated allegation against India has dealt a huge blow to the ties between the two countries. Bureau Report, India Today.
We will track this story closely, but that is all I have time for on India First this evening.